Once upon a time, in the grand palace of a kingdom nestled among rolling hills and lush forests, lived King Afolabi and Queen Fadikemi in a village called Oro. The king and queen were loved by their people. The king was blessed with so much riches and fortune that they lavished all their wealth on their only child, Prince Adewale. Prince Adewale was a very handsome man, the only heir to the throne, the only child the queen bore, and because of that, the king and queen lavished the prince with all their love and riches that he became so full of himself and had no regard for anyone. One day, as Prince Adewale took a stroll around the village with his most trusted palace guard, Ojo, he realized the power he possessed as a result of his father's riches. This was because everyone who saw him greeted him with great reverence. And so he thought to himself, if I could have my father's wealth, I would command great respect from everyone. Since that day, Prince Adewale began to harbor the desire to rule like his father. He began to plan on how he would steal his father's riches and make away with it to another land where he would become king and rule the people with power and authority. Then the day came when the prince decided to carry out his evil intentions. He called out his most trusted guard, Ojo, and told him about his plans to poison his father, the king, and make away with all his wealth, promising Ojo a handsome price for his loyalty. Ojo, the prince's guard, was to put the poison in the king's drink at bedtime. By dawn of the new day, the entire village of Oro was in great turmoil as the news spread concerning the sudden death of King Afolabi and the disappearance of the prince, leaving Queen Fadikemi in deep distress. Meanwhile, Prince Adewale, who had stolen his father's riches, arrived the land of Okuku. Okuku was a village which was a great distance from Oro. The people of Okuku were known to be poor, but lived in peace and had strong ties amongst them. Prince Adewale, knowing that when he showers a little of his riches to the people of Okuku, they will bestow him kingship in their land. The people of Okuku didn't have any king, so they crowned Prince Adewale king in their land because of his wealth. Prince Adewale ruled the people of Okuku with great contempt, and the land of Okuku, a once peaceful land, became troubled. The people of the village were disturbed and thought to themselves, what have we gotten ourselves into? How can we be free of this king? Our children no longer feel safe to play in the village square. Our women are afraid to go to the market, either to buy or sell. And our men have become weak and weary because the king has taken the little we ever had and refuses us to farm on our farmlands. The people of Okuku, disappointed, thought of what to do. They came up with a plan to get back their land from the wicked king. One day, the king, Prince Adewale, desiring a wife, summoned for all the beautiful maidens in the land to the palace, where they were to dance before him for 7 days. Then he would pick for himself a wife amongst them. the maidens reluctantly appeared before the king, afraid of what he could do to them if they refused to turn up for the dance. Aderonke, a beautiful maiden, possessed a royal presence. Her skin glowed like rich mahogany under the sunlight. Prince Adewale could not help but notice her presence as she danced gracefully before him. On the final day of the dance, after the maidens had all appeared before the king with their dance, the king, Prince Adewale, beckoned upon Aderonke to come to him. Aderonke joyfully walked to grace the king's hand. King Adewale took her into his inner court and she became his wife. King Adewale was so in love with Aderonke that he would do anything she said. All she had to do was ask, and her wishes were granted. Aderonke, knowing this, made demands of the king in favor of her people, and without delay, the king granted her request. This made the people of Okuku very happy, as the village began to recover all it had lost to the wicked king, and they thought to themselves, "Finally, we have found a solution." Queen Aderonke, fulfilling her end of the deal with the people, acquired all the king's riches and handed it over to the villagers, leaving him wretched. King Adewale, realizing that the people of Okuku had planned all this with his beloved queen, who was nowhere to be found, became heartbroken, as without his riches he had no power on the people. The people of Okuku, with one voice, dethroned Prince Adewale and banished him from their land. Prince Adewale left with nothing. Filled with regrets, he went back to the only place he knew as his village, Oro. When the king, Afolabi, and Queen Fadekemi heard their son had returned to the village, they went out and embraced their son, welcoming him. Prince Adewale, who was so full of shock to see his father alive, he expected that his father, the king, would have been dead from the poison. The king, sensing this, took him into the palace and told him of how his most trusted guard, Ojo, did not carry out the evil plan. Ojo had informed the king about his son's plan to poison him, so the king, distressed, decided to honor the wish of his son by pretending to have drank the poison which led to his death. Prince Adewale, remorseful and repentant, begged the king and queen. They forgave him and restored him to his place in the land.